Hey fellas, yeah, but I wanted to talk about something that I've really learned over the last few weeks. I think for me it's been more a case of relearning. I'm sure you've experienced that when you learn something and then you learn it at an even deeper level, if that makes sense. Maybe I'm not making sense, but I think you'll understand. And this video I really just want to talk about what I've got out of exposure therapy for social anxiety, social confidence, and to be honest, exposure therapy in every area of life. So it's really me talking about facing fear, because that's what exposure is. And I was just I actually just made a video before this, and I didn't like the video, so I deleted it and I've started again. And I don't usually do that. I usually do videos straight away in one take, but for some reason I just didn't like how the video came out. Maybe today I've fallen into being a perfectionist. And so I touched on some good points in the last video, but I said some things in the video that I didn't like, so I started this video again. But it just really dawned on me this week, and I'm like that. I do things and sometimes I don't think about it, and later on I remember, oh yeah, I did that. So for the last 10-15 years, all I've been doing is exposure therapy. Now, I actually like the term exposure therapy. It's funny because a lot of stuff that modern day psychology or psychotherapists, I'm not putting anyone down, I'm just saying I don't like labeling, as you can imagine. I'm sure you had the same growing up as a kid. My mum and dad and people always said, oh, Jonathan, he's just a bit shy. And I wasn't shy, and it made me frustrated, and it made it worse putting a label on me, because then you become a shy person. So when you take the labels away, and we'll go spiritual for a second, you just become the essence of who you are, which is consciousness, which is a human being. So shyness is it's just a label. It's like saying you're angry. We all feel angry, and there's times in life when we all feel shy. Sometimes I feel shy. And I teach confidence, and I'm supposedly in society a confident person, whatever that means, but we know what that means. So just because you get angry doesn't mean you deem yourself an angry person unless you choose to be an angry person. So being shy or not being shy is a choice. So I'm saying I've really learned through exposure. It's gave me massive confidence. And I know I thought about this already when I did this video, because I thought I'm probably in danger of contradicting myself, and I can imagine a few people are going to say, because it's human nature, people always have an opinion. They're going to say, well, you said this in your last video, now you're saying this. Well, I've got to contradict. I'm still getting down further and further to the truth. And without a shadow of doubt, the best thing to overcome social anxiety, nothing comes close. There's not a spiritual practice in the world. It's to actually go and face people. Now, to contradict what I said, because people have got ideas about spirituality and what is spiritual, what is out of touch reality, for me, speaking to people is spiritual. Not speaking to people is the opposite of spiritual, and I don't even know what the word is, but you know what I mean. It's when you don't connect with people. So for me, being a spiritualist is a person who likes connection. Connection with God, connection with your authentic self, connection with divine consciousness, energy, divine source. But it's always really back to yourself, isn't it? When you connect with other people, it feels good because it makes you feel good, it makes them feel good. And when you don't socialise with people because you've social anxiety disorder, you've got a fear of facing people, you don't feel good, you feel disconnected, you get depression, and it leads on to things like addictions. So yes, I've said it's very much part of my teaching, and I really advocate people doing it. It's massively helped me to do what I call spiritual work or psychological work, where you face issues from your childhood. You can do that with a counsellor, therapist. I teach that on my 6 weeks program, but nothing's going to compare to the real deal, which is putting yourself in social situations. And I've been doing that for best part of 15 years. So I've got a ton of field experiences. Sorry, I'm tired today. I'm still going to do the video, as you would have seen on my YouTube channel with my videos, and that's what I've been teaching for years. I've just incorporated different areas of personal development that have all compensated for the one main movement, and that's exposure. Exposure in yourself. I can't, honestly, guys, girls, I can't even explain to you how simple, you already know this anyway, how direct, how beneficial exposure therapy is. And I actually like that term, that modern psychology, or whoever it was, I don't know who the person is, was it Sigmund Freud, or I don't know which psychologist it was, you guys probably know, you can write in the box below if you like. But exposure therapy, that name is brilliant, because it does exactly what it says. It exposes you to the fears, and it's therapeutic. It heals you, and it builds we use words like confidence. Okay, we'll go with that. So it gives you confidence, and it gave me massive confidence. And I was sitting down in my room meditating, thinking about my life, thinking about when I've achieved things, when I haven't achieved things, my anxieties, my issues, my good points, bad points. I'm always thinking. I'm a deep thinker, I'm a natural introvert, and I thought the basis of what's overcome my anxiety and helped me to help other people and be successful in my life and to get through life and keep enjoying life and developing is exposure. That's it, simple. And exposure for me, and it's the same for everyone, has always been about me facing my fears. And sometimes, you know what, I've been scared. Many times I have been scared. People are probably surprised for me to say that. When I meet people a lot, they're always surprised. They say, you don't look like you're ever nervous. Of course I get anxiety. There are times when I fall into old tendencies. I get nervous in new social situations. I'm a human being. But I've got to a level where I can control my anxiety really well. And most times it's not there. Sometimes it comes up a little bit. And because I've worked on myself spiritually and I've exposed myself, I suppose that's what confidence is. Confidence is the ability to do something and feel relaxed about it, but it's also the ability to do something when sometimes you don't feel relaxed. And sometimes that's what I've got to do. I've got to go, well, I don't have to, but I choose to because I enjoy it. I go and do a public talk, and on the way to giving the talk, I'm nervous, my mind's racing. I feel like I don't want to speak, but once I get to the talk, push through the first few minutes. I love it. My confidence comes through my experience, and that is exposure therapy. So I don't just want to inspire you, encourage you. I'm telling you, this is going to save your life. If you've got social anxiety, you want to start gradually exposing yourself to the feelings. Now, you're probably thinking what I was thinking for a long time myself, especially a few years ago, till I got to this level of social confidence, whatever you want to call it. You're probably frightened, and I want to say it's okay to be scared. There's a huge stigma around having fear, having social fear. Everyone has it, always had it, especially if you've got social phobia. But if you keep facing it, exposing yourself to it, it's going to go away. You're going to get to a point where you're going to be excited to be around people. It's going to flip on its head. So how I did it was gradually, and I've said it before in other videos, you have to have a purpose, you have to have a reason, because if you don't have a reason, you're not going to want to put yourself through facing fears and suffering. So having a reason would excite you, because in all honesty, I wish I could come onto YouTube and say it's all going to be fine, and it is all going to be fine, but in the sense that it's not going to be uncomfortable, but it's going to be very uncomfortable. I like to tell people the truth. That's what's true for me. So the quicker you know what the truth is, and the quicker you go out and find out for yourself, the quicker you're going to overcome this fear. It's not going to be a problem for you. So exposure therapy works. It's 100% guaranteed. But of course you have to stick at it. Of course at the start you're probably going to feel that not much is changing for you. And that's the same when I first started talking to girls, talking to people. When I first started to do public speaking, it did feel like it was going to be a big mountain to climb. But in all honesty, it wasn't long before I started being able to confidently and be comfortable giving a talk in front of 20, 30, 40 people and really enjoy myself and being really good at it. to the point where people would say, I didn't see one single bit of nerves in you. You seem so confident at doing that. Of course, there's always a little bit initial bodily feelings at the start. So, if you've got social anxiety, everything I've talked about in the videos, the other things, they are very important. Stopping the porn, working on the negative aspects like jealousy, anger, judgment, of course. But I'm even gonna, I'm saying all those things are important. They're all gonna compensate. I just wanna quickly speed this video up. I don't wanna go on too long on this video. Obviously, if you watch porn, if you're jealous, angry, when you meet people, you're gonna have a lot of anxiety. So it kind of contradicts itself. If you clean your act up and you live clean and honestly, when you go and meet people, there's less to worry about and be ashamed about. But you're still gonna have to expose yourself and work that muscle. And what you're gonna find is, it's gonna get easier and easier every time. So when I say something, people probably think, oh my God. And if I say to people, if you used to work with me and do my 6 weeks program, you're gonna suffer. People are gonna think, I don't wanna suffer, but you're gonna suffer for a temporary amount of time to have longevity of feeling really good and feeling confident and building your self-esteem. And that's going to amount up to all the things I'm sure you want to achieve, which is a girlfriend, which is improving your finances, your friendships, and you're confident within yourself. It's always about yourself. So exposure therapy is the best and quickest method for overcoming social anxiety. Everything around that is secondary. It is important. It can't be neglected. Now, obviously, some people might disagree with me. This has worked for me, and this has also worked for hundreds of people I work with, and I've got enough experience over 15 years of, I'm sure you're the same as me. You've probably analysed people a lot in human behaviour, and you're good at reading people. That's one of the great things about having social anxiety. It can be a curse, but it can be a blessing, which it has been for me, and it will be for you. It enables you to read people quite well because you're very analytical. So the more exposure you have, of course, the more you get out of your head, you become more present. And that's kind of when spirituality has such an importance and a relevance. And that's why I do a lot of videos, if you noticed, on higher states of consciousness, being more present, a lot of what Eckhart Tolle teaches and talks about, because that is like, for me, the highest level of personal development. So I don't want to confuse you here. Exposure therapy on a practical level is bar none the best. If you elevate yourself at a high level of consciousness, I mean, maybe you can, but in my experience, it hasn't been true. And getting feedback from students, the most feedback I've got from my work and my teaching that's helped people to get really good results in their life has been from all of the exposure. Even my YouTube videos of me going out, speaking to women, speaking to men, doing social experiments, walking around London, saying hello to people. I know it looks a bit strange, that exposure. That's transformed people's lives around the world, because that's simple philosophy. That's what you need. So I'm really just trying to simplify it, take away all the complications for this video, get right down to the directness of what it is to overcome social anxiety, and that's exposure. And I want to actually inspire you and excite you about doing this. It can make life incredibly meaningful and fun. So it's such a balance between feeling depressed, feeling that you can't speak to people, feeling suicidal. I know I felt like that, and I've had a lot of students say that to me, and people write to me, from feeling so inspired. So, I mean, I can just go through a whole list of the things I did just to kind of get your brain going. Public speaking, speaking to women, going on dates, teaching, video blogging, going to different events, sometimes things that I'm not really interested in, but just to learn more and help me. I went to church meetings, spiritual groups, motivational talks, dating, so many things, so many different things, talking to new people. I've always been blessed because even from a young age, for some reason, people naturally have, it's kind of contradicting me being anxious, being antisocial for many years, but people have always gravitated towards me from different backgrounds, and I've always grown up having friends in different backgrounds. So learning from different cultures, different backgrounds, all this exposure, it's gonna, I don't want to get into one on this video, but it's gonna open up your consciousness and give you more social confidence. So in a sense, I've contradicted everything in this video. Everything's gonna connect, all of your learning, but if you don't expose yourself through speaking to people, everything you've done, like meditation, healthy lifestyle, that's all it's gonna kind of be a waste. because you're just going to be a healthy, enlightened person that doesn't know how to speak to people and is still frightening people. Does that make sense? So that's really today's lesson, and that really quickly gave me a lot of confidence, and I didn't really think about it. And I always say this, I've seen this when I've worked with people on my 6 weeks program, where the first few sessions you don't really notice the change in the person, and students don't really notice it, but after the 4th to 5th, and then they start going away, implementing it in their life, that's when you start seeing massive changes. And a few months down the line, it's happened to me so many times. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a teacher and now I teach students, but I've seen people months later that I've worked with, or sometimes a year later, and they're a completely different person. They're so confident, they're so grounded, so calm, a lot more socially relaxed because of the exposure therapy. So that's what my teaching is still about. I talk people through the fears, I counsel people, but I still take people out on my 6 week program and expose them. If it's men, expose them to speaking to women, speaking to people. If it's women, speaking to men, people. Same thing really, it's all exposure, talking to people. And you know my philosophy, within exposure, honesty. You've got to be honest. How I communicate with you guys, same person you're going to meet in person, you work on this congruency. So everything I've said in the videos, if you've been following me, it all makes sense. I know it's confusing sometimes because in one video I talk about spirituality, I talk about connecting God, another video I talk about, but these are all different facets or areas. They're all kind of the stages that I developed in, and I just teach those stages, and I intuitively will do videos based on what I think is relevant at a certain time. So some people watching this will be not very helpful because you've been exposing yourself for a long time, and probably more the spiritual stuff, more of meditation where I'm at. For some of you, a lot of you, it's going to be really helpful. A lot of people are still getting a lot out of my old videos, which is why I've left some of them up, where I'm going out and I'm saying hello to women. Not really I've done some stuff that I'm a bit embarrassed about, a bit of sleaze stuff, kissing girls on the street. I'm not really advocating that, but a lot of the stuff that's genuine, going out and I'm getting permission from people and I'm saying hello, just having conversations, just having fun, being genuine, that's really helped people. So it's important. Now, I hope you got a lot out of that. I've just actually wrote an article that I'm going to invite you to check out on my website, and I've basically gone into detail about the whole process of exposure therapy and how it helped me, how it can help you. I've started writing because, to be honest, lately I think I'm just a little bit burnt out. I feel a little bit tired. I love video blogging, but I'm starting to enjoy writing. I'm in the process of actually writing a book, so I think it's kind of a direction that I'm going in. I'm still going to do videos, don't worry. So if you go to my website, you can read a lot of my articles, and surprisingly my writing's really good. I'm able to, for some reason I can articulate better when I write than when I speak. It may be to do with a lot of my old anxieties and wounds that I've had, maybe I still have a little bit of speaking, my speech, I'm still working on it. So with the articles, you'll learn a lot, and I talk about exposure, and I've got hundreds of articles, as well as if you want to work with me, take my 6 weeks program or do a session with me, all the information's on my website. So I hope that helps. I'm encouraging you. Exposure therapy is the fastest way to overcome anxiety. Talking to people, public speaking, events, one-on-one meetings, whatever it is, get yourself around people. And go to my website, check out my articles. I'll see you in the next video. And please let me know in the box below. I like the comments, I like knowing how people are getting on and what you're learning, and if this video is helpful. Remember, go to my website, check out my articles. See you soon, bye.